The analogy of a wave on the ocean is often used. We are like the wave on an ocean, which somehow thinks is a separate identity. But this wave is a result of forces. And the analogy usually breaks down at this point because these forces are often external to the water. The analogy is that the water is consciousness. So the analogy breaks down because there's nothing external to consciousness. We can create notions that there are things external to consciousness, but these notions arise within consciousness too. The physical water, the ocean, is subject to forces of gravity, centrifugal forces and wind and so on. And the wave travels along and eventually crashes on the shore. And this could be understood as death. This wave is smashed to smithereens. But is that the end of it? Is that the end of it? What about the forces that shape that wave? There'll be a whole stream of such waves cascading towards the shore. And they'll be similar to each other because they're shaped by similar forces. And perhaps over time these forces gradually change and the shape of the waves will change. Our own identity is shaped by forces. We can call it a life force if we want. I spoke in the previous video how the so-called physical universe is not the actual material components which are significant. It's the forces that shape them. It's the forces that shape them. And we've got forces which shape our own character, our own individuality. Do these forces stop as soon as the body dies? These are the forces which tend to shape our notions about things. They're like memes, ideas, songs, stories. Ideas and songs and stories are completely insubstantial, but they have a life of their own, don't they? A song will be performed by lots of different people, go through many different versions, get remixed, whatever. Stories will be retold, a little bit added here, a little bit added there, different contexts, different emphasis given by different storytellers. Ideas are propagated through society, they mutate, they affect people, maybe they don't, they'll change, affect other different people in different ways, and they'll pass on the ideas. These are all forces, they're all insubstantial, and yet they affect us, they change our behaviour. Culture. What's culture? Everybody dies at some point, but culture carries on, doesn't it? It can carry on for generations with very little change, or it can gradually develop. What's culture? Is there such a thing as culture? But culture shapes us. It shapes who we are, it shapes our identity, it shapes our assumptions about the world. So when we talk about non-physical reality, we're not talking about anything mystical or anything spiritual in some New Age kind of way. We're talking about our everyday reality. It's notional, all notional. And so we've got this life force which is often spoken about in Yoga Vasishta, the prana. I'm usually a little bit averse to talking about prana or going along with the story of prana because it doesn't really help a lot of the time. But here it's being described as life force. And why shouldn't the notions that shaped us as an individual ego, carry on? You might ask, well, what is the medium for this? Well, what is the medium for electric potential? is like a thundercloud. It builds up, and there's a big electrical potential difference building up in that cloud, potential difference between that and the earth. And when it gets the opportunity, it zaps itself down. And perhaps the opportunity comes in the process of conception. It's interesting that we call it conception, isn't it? To conceive, concept. We give birth to a new concept. That's what birth is, giving birth to new concepts. At the time of death, this prana leaves the body and enters into space. It is wafted here and there by the cosmic air. Behold these pranas, jivas, with all their notions, worlds, hidden within them, filling the entire space. I see them here in front of me with my inner eye of intelligence. The air in the entire space is filled with the pranas of the departed ones. So this could be like life potential. Life potential. There's all these unfulfilled desires, all these urges to become hanging around in the air. So it's a rather graphic story, and Vasishta is saying he sees it with the inner eye of his intelligence. I suspect this is just a story, so you can go along with this or not. But I think the idea of a life force is no more nonsensical than the idea of culture, than the idea of memes, of culturally transmitted behaviours, of stories. It's a story. Stories are powerful. Stories have shape. Stories shape us. The air in the entire space is filled with the pranas of the departed ones. Mind exists in those pranas, and the world exists within the mind like oil in seeds. So the life force gives rise to the mind, and the mind gives rise to notions of the world, of creation. Just as the life force prana is wafted in the wind in space, all these worlds are wafted in the mind, like the scent of flowers is wafted by the air. These are seen only by the eye of intelligence, not by these physical eyes or Rama. These worlds exist everywhere at all times. They are subtler than even space, for they are of the nature of the essence of notions. So the life force is what gives rise to notions. Hence, in fact, they are not wafted nor moved from one place to another. But to each jiva, which is composed of the prana, mind and notion combined, the notion it entertains of the world of its own creation is real, for that jiva firmly believes in the substantiality of that creation. When the objects on the bank of a fast-flowing river are seen reflected in the water, these objects appear to be agitated too, though in fact they are not. Even so, these worlds within the jivas may be said to be in motion or unmoving. But in the self, which is infinite consciousness, there is no such movement at all. Even as when a pot is moved from one place to another, the space that is in it does not move from one place to another. So this world only appears to be on account of the deluded belief in its existence. In reality it is Brahman only, and it is neither created nor destroyed.